Hello, hello, I'm Kads, and welcome back to the free-to-play review. So today's topic is going to be the latest iteration of the summon pool. Yes, the Defenders summon pool, which I guess is a combination of a bunch of defense-based champions. So if we take a look at the offerings from this particular summon pool, there are pretty good offerings overall. Stultus, one of the best defensive-based nukers in the game. Mishinaki, one of the best Hydra champions in the game. Feral, same thing, one of the best Hydra champions in the game. Elikath, very strong, a little bit less meta now, but still very powerful and potent in PvP and PvE. He can solo enable or single-handedly enable Demon Lord clan boss unkillable teams, which is very powerful. Ragash, one of the best defensive-based nukers once again. And then Kyoku, one of the strongest ally protectors in the entire game. And then for the epics, Birangiri notably can solo Balmel. Morag, Bronzelock is pretty powerful for defensive-based nuker. Hoskrul, super strong. Grush as well, defensive-based nukers. Tayrel, AoE decrease defense. Duck, AoE decrease defense. And then Hatatsu is a pretty decent support. Skullcrusher, honorable mention as the only epic with AoE counterattack. So if you play your cards right, you could walk away with a pretty decent legendary and or a fairly useful epic, depending on who you happen to get. And in this case, we do have the equivalent of a Sacred Shard, so 6% chance to get a legendary, 94% chance to get an epic, and these are going to cost you 30 Prism Fragments this go around. Now in this case, we actually have 3 areas where we can get 30 fragments each, which is pretty nice of them to offer overall. Now, the first of which is probably going to be the hardest to obtain, which is the Dungeon Divers event here, where you get double points for any mythical gear, but considering that you have basically less than a 1% chance of getting mythical gear from hard mode dungeons, that's probably not going to matter much, and this is essentially just a Dungeon Divers event with the respective milestone. So you can see here, we have a total of 3 days, at least at the time of this recording, to get ourselves one free summon at 39.50, which is fairly steep. It is doable over the course of 3 days, but it will cost more than just the daily or cruel energy, and you're going to have to invest probably some gems and or energy stockpiles in order to get that out there. And so if any of the champions on the list are appealing to you, then I would recommend it, because you can use in-game resources, just sources of extra energy, gems, stuff like that, in order to get out there and get this free summon. So I recommend it if you have capacity to do that, but do keep in mind that we're probably going to have a fusion starting fairly soon within the next couple of weeks, and so you might want to hoard your resources for that instead, especially since we did have a fairly unpopular one. Typically that means we're going to get a good one afterward, but who knows, we could also get back-to-back underwhelming ones. When it comes to the tournaments, they differed from the precedent, I will say, and they did not feature it in the Sand Devil Turn Attack tournament, so that one is not in this discussion, but it is featured in the Ice Golem tournament as well as the Soul Chase tournament. And now the Soul Chase tournaments unfortunately have gone down in value because of the offerings of the 2Xs for Perfect Souls, 5-star and or 6-star. And so generally speaking, you are better off saving your Soul Stones for one of those events, and those typically now coincide with Heroes Paths event. And so you can probably get the equivalent of these types of rewards or better by using your Soul Stones during one of those particular boosted events, on top of just getting better stuff from them in general. However, I still think, objectively speaking, a Soul Chase tournament with the boosted rates is still the best event overall in terms of improving the quality of what you get and then getting decent rewards for getting better quality. But since the first time they've done that, they've not done it since, so I'm not banking on it happening again in the future. So if you were curious about my particular strategy, I'm kind of shifting more to the mindset of using my Soul Stones to participate in Heroes Paths and try to push for mythical tomes if that is being offered. That said, if you are sitting on a pile of Soul Stones and you want to try your luck and just get out to 545, which is fairly doable with a good amount of mortals, you don't necessarily have to dip into Eternals and Immortals, but if you want to invest in that, you could once again get yourself a free summon. That is up to you at your discretion. But probably the most accessible one for the majority of people is basically doing an Ice Golem tournament, just like a standard one. Normally this would be an epic tome at 27.50 over the course of 3 days, but in this case it is a free summon for the summon pool. And so this can most certainly be done with daily or accrual energy, just spending what you get from Doom Tower, daily login, etc., and just using that on Ice Golem each day over the course of the next 3 days, and you should easily be able to get yourself out to the 27.50 with minimal extra investment. So that's probably the best option. I would try to go for the Ice Golem tournament if you care about the summon pool at all, or you just want one free shot at a potential good legendary. And then if you feel like pursuing the second one from the Dungeon Divers, I would go just a little bit deeper into Ice Golem or convert over to Spider, doesn't really matter, whatever dungeon you'd like to farm in order just to get Dungeon Divers points. That can work, and you can get yourself 2 summons that way. So as you can see here, here, I've already invested a good amount of effort into this Ice Golem tournament, which is, I forgot to mention, epics only. So it is not just a standard Ice Golem tournament. You have to use exclusively epic teams. And I do have a breakdown of a couple of teams that can hopefully inspire a team for you guys to use for yourselves. And that video will go live shortly after this one. So feel free to check that one out in the card above if you're looking for some inspiration as far as how to participate or get the most out of this Ice Golem tournament, epics only. So in terms of my exact plan for this one, I don't think it's worth my gems necessarily to go hard in the Dungeon Divers event, but considering that there is a 3x on reflex gear, which is a very useful set from the Ice Golem, I plan to at least max out the Ice Golem tournament using my epics only team, and then I'll kind of call it a day with the one free summon. And I would say from this collection of champions, legendary specifically, the ones I'd be looking for the most would probably be Helicath, because I did actually miss out on that fusion way back when. Fun story for that one. And then Ragash has always been on my list. I regret a little bit not going for his guaranteed way back in the day, because he's become a lot more powerful in arena meta as well as in the Cursed City, and he's very, very quintessential to a couple of stages. But other than that, I actually have a good chunk of these guys. Feral is nice for Hydra, but in my case, I prefer to have more of a reviving type Veil champion or a healing type Veil champion, and so he doesn't quite fit into what I would like in a Hydra champion, but nonetheless he is a good one to have. So that is going to do it for the free-to-play review of the latest iteration of the summon pool, the Defenders summon pool. Let me know in the comment section down below what your plan is. Are you going for the 1 free summon, 0 free summons, or all 3 free summons? And of course, be sure to let me know what you got from your free summons, however many you intend to go for. As always, if you did find this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below, and feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.